I first started covering migration as part of my daily work as a newspaper photographer. And my interest in it just grew and grew. The more I got to know personal stories of migrants, the more I felt, it's really important to let the world know what is happening.
The reason I was interested in migration, I've been living and working in West Africa for the last few years, and I've seen the impact of migration from the source, and I wanted to witness it on the front line here in the Mediterranean.
The immigration and the refugees is a global issue. I feel I can't do enough for these people.
I didn't choose this work. In 1997, I moved to Canary Island. Little by little, I saw how numbers of small boats arriving increased with new arrivals every week. So, in other words, I didn't choose this. I was living where the incident took place.
Whilst the rescue mission is taking place, for example, nobody is bothered or hassled by your presence over there. Half the time, even though they're looking straight at you, they're not even aware of your presence. You find out later.
I found people were coming to me wanting to be interviewed and tell their stories. Sometimes I'll approach them, but there were people would come up to me and say, look, I have something to tell you.
The refugees, the migrants, they understand that it's important that their issue, their problems are seen by the international community.
Of course, many of them don't wish to appear in a photo as they don't want their faces on TV or newspapers. But in general, people we encounter treat us better.
The one which always comes to mind is the story of Hamad al-Russan, the Syrian-Palestinian blue-eyed blonde kid who I photographed after he'd been rescued from the Lampedusa tragedy in 2013. There's a great story to that, and how sort of people saw the photo in the papers and then they tried to find the family and help the family, help them with clothing, with schooling, with finding jobs, help them sort of get relocated to Germany and so on. So
the search and rescue team decided to put me on the migrant boat, and I was so nervous because I've been photographing it from the safety with the search and rescue guys from their dinghy, and they said, look, we want you to get on that boat. And so I literally climbed onto a boat with like 560 people.
It was these 4 Pakistani migrants who they didn't have enough money to get in a boat with an engine, in an inflatable dinghy with an engine, so they had to paddle a small yellow, for kids, for children, a toy, an inflatable. So they jump into this dinghy and they paddle across from Turkey to Kos. And the weather was awful.
To me, the most dramatic situations are seeing children traveling in these terrible conditions, where some have lost their father, mother, or both.
The funeral of those 29 migrants were brought to Malta last April, when some 900 drowned off our shores. I mean, that was a very intense and emotional thing. And though you protect yourself behind the camera, you're a human being. You can't help but feel, somehow, feel the impact. Very often the impact sort of strikes you afterwards. There's times when, you're so busy concentrating on the images, and it's happened to me doing rescue missions as well.
If you allow yourself to be affected with what you are photographing, you allow your personal emotions to affect your work, which can make you miss relevant things.
When I cover these stories that have a lot of emotion, I'm trying to keep some distance, in the sense that I try to act as a doctor, where I'm there to document and in my way to help these people.
First when I'm photographing a group of people on the boat in this very vulnerable situation, then afterwards I start to meet them as human beings, as personalities. So when I start looking back at the portraits or the individual pictures of them, I can relate to them as individuals, as human beings. And it definitely, it definitely has an impact. I think what I've witnessed the last few months has changed me indelibly.